as you know, they franchise-tagged wide receiver Chris Godwin. Yesterday, they re-signed their veteran linebacker and leader, Levante David. Shaq Barrett and Ndamukong Suh headline the notable players who were set to hit free agency. So let me bring Dianna Russini in on that thought. Dianna, where are we as far as the Buccaneers and their plans or their chances of bringing basically all their important pieces back?
Yeah, they're certainly in that run-it-back mode at this point, and they're really sticking to their word, which is they wanted to keep the band back together. So here's how they see it with Shaq Barrett. He has considered a priority. They're doing everything they possibly can in terms of getting creative, restructuring other people, or at least other players' contracts, as well as getting creative with Shaq Barrett's long-term deal that's on the table that they're trying to make work. Shaq Barrett's been very open, though. He wants to get paid, and he deserves 27.5 sacks over the last 2 seasons. That's second best in the league. He's 28 years old, only 28 years old, and we know what a great Super Bowl run he had with this team. So they want to make this work. It just really did come down to the numbers, Greeny.
So here's where I think our meeting this morning got fascinating. Tedy Bruschi, we were talking, I asked the question, why is it so hard to repeat? You're a guy who did it. You were on the last team that did it. And you brought up one person who you think is the most important in all of it in trying to win back-to-back Super Bowls. Who was that person?
The most important person is the head coach. And why I say that is because when you win a Super Bowl, relationships become strengthened. There's love, there's friendship. You've done something that has never been before, that never done before in your life. And it's like you have an everlasting bond of closeness with players, with coaches, okay? Now, going to next year, that bond has to be rebroken. And that's the hard thing to do because now I don't want a coach to be my friend. Now, the coach got to stop being the friends to all these champions that you know them as and look at them now as started from ground zero. So can Bruce Arians look at his team in the team meeting room and not see the world champions and just see a team that hasn't done anything yet? Because resetting that mentality, I believe in repeating, is the hardest thing to do. I failed at it once, and then we were successful at it the second time. And that's where the learning process comes in because the human nature aspect of it, the relational aspect of it, and the love and the closeness, there has to be some type of conflict within the locker room for coaches to push players, and the leadership has to come, and the message has got to come from the head coach, and that's why I think Bruce Arians is the most important person when coming and repeat for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Such a fascinating thought. And Rob Ninkovich, again, obviously Tedy winning back-to-back Super Bowls playing for Bill Belichick. And Ninko, you won a title with Bill, and you experienced exactly what Tedy is talking about.
Yeah, look, after Seattle in 2014, I can remember being in the offseason and having a team meeting, and this was right before the ring ceremony, which in the offseason you get your rings, and there's new guys on the team that weren't with the 2014 Patriots. So there's new guys on the roster, and I remember Bill, like yesterday saying, hey, look, guys, ring ceremonies tonight, let's not make a big deal of this. Like, let's not make this a big thing because there's guys here that haven't experienced it, and they're not getting their rings tonight. So let's just cool it on the big celebration, okay? And I remember looking around like, what? I'm about to go crazy. I'm getting my ring, my first one, So it's true, though. Bill does a great job of knocking you back down to the basics, right to the bottom, chop the legs off, and just say, look, you got to start over. And that's what you have to do to repeat. Because in 15, we were close. We were really close. We were AFC Championship away from getting back, and we didn't get it done. We were able to get back in 16, but it's the way it is. You have to start over from scratch. There's no egos. There's no big head. You didn't win a Super Bowl. That's last year. Let's move on to the next year.
Tedy, I see you laughing.
Now,
it feels like you're remembering something.
It doesn't have to be that over the top. I don't think BA is going to be that over the top, the whole Belichick over the top style. But if he can find just that little bit of bringing that down and then bringing himself up, I think he can get the job done.
You know what? But here's what I'll throw at you, Tedy. That leadership, while obviously the ideal place for it to come from is the head coach, can Tom Brady do that? Can Tom Brady, who has done it as many times, well, candidly, more times than anyone ever, can he do that? Is it possible that can come, Tedy, from the quarterback instead of the head coach?
Now, I think you got an example of last year when Tom Brady tried to take too much of that type of fixing these guys on. I think it was the Chicago game when he got absolutely flustered on the sideline, went at his teammates, forgetting what down it was late in the game, and that's when it's like, I got so much I got to do. I got a quarterback position to play, and I got to get these guys right. It has to be quarterback, head coach. Okay, Tom knows the role that he has to play, and I think Tom knows what role BA has to play. If they can get on the same page and Tom doesn't have to be the bad guy, but BA can be a little bit more of a bad guy because Tom's got some bad guy in him. We've all seen it. All right, he can do that, but that shouldn't consume him like it did early in the season last year.
Dianna, go.
I just want to let Tedy know my 6th grade soccer team, our travel team, won from my 6th grade year to my 8th grade year. So it is possible that you can go back to back and overcome any difficulty. But I did have a Patriots coach say to me years ago, he's actually not on the staff anymore, that sometimes you always look at the challenges of winning and dealing with conflict and diversity. But sometimes success is just as difficult. A lot of guys sit back, they don't work as hard, which is something that we saw the Kansas City Chiefs have some trouble with, but obviously they made it all the way back there. But that's always something to keep in mind, that success is often sometimes just as challenging to deal with on the second year.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.